Hi students, hope you all are doing great. And today we are to start with our next lesson, which is on conversation. Right? We have three lessons based on the on this topic, and today we are going to start with the first part of that. Okay, conversations, and yeah, let me share the screen properly. Okay, so these are the learning intended learning outcomes. So the things that you will be do at the end of this lesson. So, by the end of this lesson, you will be able to identify formal and informal vocabulary related to day-to-day conversations, right? And identify different phrases used in different contexts of discussion. So, for example, if we take different contexts mean different situations. If you are talking to a friend regarding your daily routine, the context is different, right? If you are ordering a meal at a restaurant, that is another context, that is another situation. And same when you are imagine you are talking about your opinion, you are giving your own opinion, there is another set of expressions that we can use, right? So likewise, to different contexts, there are different phrases, like English language phrases we use, right? So about these things, you will be able to learn all these things, right? And identify the formation of yes no questions and as well as WH questions. So, as the grammar components of this lesson, we are going to focus on WH questions and yes no questions and how to form them, right? And then finally, construct yes no questions and WH questions in day-to-day conversations. So, in practical conversations, you will be able to construct sentences based on these two categories, right? Okay, we'll move on. Okay, first, I'm going to share the sound as well. Uh, Right, I'm going to play this video. First, watch this and identify what are the formal and informal greetings in English. Okay, this is a small video. Look, first we'll watch this.
Good morning, class. Today, we're going to discuss formal and informal greetings in English. Greetings are an essential part of communication, and it's important to understand when to use formal or informal language, depending on the context. Let's start with formal greetings. In formal situations, such as professional settings, meetings, or when addressing someone in authority, it's important to use more polite and respectful language. Common formal greetings include good morning. Good morning, class. Today, we're going to discuss formal and informal greetings in English. Greetings are an essential part of communication, and it's important to understand when to use formal or informal language, depending on the context. Let's start with formal greetings. In formal situations, such as professional settings, meetings, or when addressing someone in authority, it's important to use more polite and respectful language. Common formal greetings include good morning or afternoon or evening followed by a title and a person's last name. For example, good morning, Mr. Smith, or good afternoon, Dr. Johnson. It's also common to use formal greetings when meeting someone for the first time or in more conservative cultures. Hello or nice to meet you followed by the person's title and last name is appropriate. For example, hello, Professor Davis, or nice to meet you, Ms. Johnson. Now, let's move on to informal greetings. Informal greetings are used in casual and familiar situations with friends, family, or peers. Informal language allows for a more relaxed and friendly tone. Common informal greetings include hi, hey, or hello, followed by the person's first name or a casual nickname. Informal greetings can also include phrases like how's it going or what's up. These greetings are less formal and can be used among acquaintances or in informal settings. For example, "Hi, John," or "Hey, Sarah." Remember, when using informal greetings, it's important to consider your relationship with the person and the context. It's not appropriate to use informal language with someone you've just met or in a formal professional environment. Let's practice. I'll call out a scenario, and I want you to choose whether a formal or informal greeting would be more appropriate. Raise your hand to answer. Ready? Scenario 1, meeting your teacher for the first time.
Formal.
Okay, so now here, meeting your teacher for the first time. Is it formal or informal? It's formal, right? So let's watch.
Good morning, class.
Oh my God, I have.
Today, include good morning or afternoon or evening followed by a title and a person's last name. For example, good morning, Professor Davis, or nice to meet you. Common informal greetings include hi, hey, or hello followed by the person's first name. Formal greetings, it's important to consider your it. Raise your hand to answer.
Okay, here.
Ready? Scenario 1, meeting your teacher for the first time. Practice. I'll call out a scenario, and I want you to choose whether a formal or informal greeting would be more appropriate. Raise your hand to answer. Ready? Scenario 1, meeting your teacher for the first time.
Formal greeting.
Correct. When meeting your teacher for the first time, it's appropriate to use a formal greeting. Scenario 2, seeing your best friend in the hallway.
Informal greeting.
Well done. When meeting a close friend in a casual setting, an informal greeting is suitable. Now let's see some daily life examples of formal and informal greetings.
Good morning, Professor Johnson. How are you today?
Good morning, Justin. I'm doing well, thank you. How about yourself?
I'm good, thank you. I wanted to ask about the upcoming assignment.
Of course, I'd be happy to help. Please feel free to ask your questions.
In this example, the student initiates the formal greeting by saying good morning followed by the teacher's title and last name. The teacher reciprocates the greeting and asks about the student's well-being. The student then proceeds with their question, and the teacher responds with a polite willingness to assist. The conversation maintains a respectful and professional tone throughout.
Hey! Long time no see. How have you been?
Hey there. I've been good, thanks. How about you?
I'm doing great. Just catching up with some old friends. Want to join me for a coffee?
That sounds fantastic. I'd love to catch up with you over a cup of coffee.
In this example, the friends use informal greetings to express familiarity and informality. They start the conversation with an informal greeting like hey, and mention that they haven't seen each other in a while. They inquire about each other's well-being in a casual manner and express their positive feelings. The conversation ends with an invitation to spend time together, maintaining the friendly and relaxed tone of informal greetings. Everyone, remember, understanding the difference between formal and informal greetings is crucial for effective communication in various situations. Practice using the appropriate greetings, and you'll become more proficient in English etiquette. See you in the next session, thank you.
Okay, students. So in that video, it was about how to greet in a formal context and as well as informal context. So formal context was basically meeting a teacher. It's a formal situation, right? So informal situations are like meeting a friend, a close family friend, or someone like that. Okay, someone you closely know, right? So there you see the words or the vocabulary or the phrases that we use to greet were different from the uh, formal context to the informal one, right? For example, in this chart also you can see here, following are some essential sentences and phrases to initiate conversations. Initiate conversations means to start up with a conversation. Okay, to start a conversation, to introduce yourself, and to exchange pleasantries with others. Right? Master these expressions to make a positive impression and create a friendly atmosphere. So, for those who don't know, those who fear to speak in English, this is a good example, a good set of expressions here. So, practice themselves for you so that you can communicate effectively with the others. Okay. So, here these are some common expressions. When greeting someone, what can you say? Hi, how are you doing? Or good morning, how is your day going? Hey, what's up? So, now here, if you take the example, hey, what's up, this expression, it sounds more informal, right? To a principal, I don't ask, hey, right? I don't say. But for a friend, of course, when you meet a friend, you can say, hey, what's up? What's up means, how are you? Kind of thing. Okay. Hello, nice to see you. So these are some greetings, common greetings. Okay. And then imagine that you are going to introduce yourself for the ones who meet you for the first time, right? For example, hi, I'm Dilini. For example, you can say your name. Okay, hi, I'm Dilini, or you can say hi, I'm Suri, or whatever it is. Okay, your name and what is your name? In reply to that, you can ask what is your name, or you can say nice to meet you. I'm, and then your name again. Or else you can say this is my friend, and then you can say your friend's name. For example, this is my friend Isuri. Right? Likewise. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Dilini. So මට permission දෙන කියන්නේ මට අවසර දෙන්න මාව introduce කරන්න මම Dilini. So likewise. So allow me to introduce myself. I am Dilini. So these are some common phrases of introduction, how you can introduce yourself. Okay. And then transitioning to small talk. Transitioning means how you can change your introduction, how you can change your topic to a small talk. Small talks are what? Small talks. If we meet someone on the road, so small talks about a very maybe a small topic, a small talk. So how was the day? It was good. Same here. Thanks for asking. So it's kind of a small talk about weather, about food, about, I don't know, about the lesson today. So these are small talks with people. Okay, so how you can change your introduction to a small talk. Small talk එකක් පටන් ගන්න හොඳ විදි තමයි මෙතන expressions දීලා තියෙන්නේ. So you can see. So what do you do for a living? What am I asking if I ask this question? So what do you do for a living? So I'm asking ඔයා ජීවත් වෙන්න මොනවද කරන්නේ කියන එක. So what earnings you do කියන එක තමයි ඒ අහන්නේ. Right? Have you earned කියන එක. So what do you do for a living? And then have you been here before? ඔයා කලින් මේ හැවිත් තියෙනවද? So imagine if you want to start up with a talk to a person, right, without you have never seen before, and maybe you have heard that also. People often say, "Have you been here before?" I think I have seen you before. මං හිතන්නේ මං ඔයාව කලින් කොයි දෙයකට දැකලා තියෙනවා. So with that, people start keeping up talking, right? So these are small talk, transitioning to small talk. And then, how's the weather today? Right? You can ask, how's the weather today? Or do you have any exciting plans for the weekend? So if you are talking to your friends, with the people you know, you can ask, do you have any exciting plans for the weekend? Weekend එකට මොනවා හරි විශේෂ plans මොනවා හරි තියෙනවද කියලා අපිට දන්න කෙනෙක්ගෙන් අහන්න පුළුවන්. For a person we are meeting for the first time, of course we can't ask. Right? අපි මුලින්ම හම්බෙන කෙනෙක්ගෙන් අපිට එහෙම අහන්න බෑ ළමයි. Okay? ගුටි ගන්න තමයි වෙන්නේ if you asking that. Okay, do you have any exciting plans for the weekend? If yes, he or she, your friend might say, yes, I have. And do you also want to join? So likewise, the small talks continue. So do you understand these expressions are really necessary when it comes to effective conversations? If you are going to talk to others, if you're going to practice talking to others, communicating in English, you have to know all these expressions. Okay, so we'll move on. Now here, the second scenario is daily activities. When you are talking about daily activities, following are some sentences and phrases based on how to express your routines, hobbies, and responsibilities and engage in conversations about everyday life. So, when you are talking about a daily routine, what can you say? You can say maybe, I usually wake up at 7 a.m. and have breakfast. After work, and then in the evening, I go for a jog or a walk. Or you can say, in the evening, I read books or something like that. So these are the things how you can, these are the ways how you can express your daily routine. And hobbies and interests, how can you say? I'm really into photography. If you really like to do photography, how can you say, I'm really into photography? If you are really liking to do something, you can say in that way, right? Or you can say, I'm really into reading novels. ඒ කියන්නේ මොකක්ද? මම පොත් කියවන්න ගොඩාක් කැමතියි කියන එකයි කියන්නේ. Right? I'm really into photography. I love capturing beautiful moments. Right? So, or you can say, on weekends, I enjoy playing the guitar and singing. On weekends, I enjoy playing the guitar and singing. Reading is my favorite pastime. Right? I can spend hours lost in good books. So these are different ways how you can express your interests, your hobbies, what you like to do, right? And when it comes to responsibilities, what can you say? I have to take care of my younger siblings. So this is how you can talk about your responsibilities. If you are responsible of something, right? As a part of my job, I handle customer inquiries and resolve issues, right? As a part of my job, I have to design the lessons. I have to plan my lessons and deliver lectures, right? Or you can say, I volunteer at a local shelter twice a week. So these are different ways. Of course, there are plenty of other ways how to tell these things. So for those who find these things interesting, you better take down notes of everything here. Okay, right, we'll move on. And then about making plans. Now imagine following are some phrases or sentences for making plans with friends, discussing events, and organizing social activities. Imagine that you are planning some things with your friends. How can you invite a person? How can you invite someone? You can ask, would you like to grab a coffee sometime? සමහර විට coffee එකකට කැමති වෙයිද? Right, like that. So inviting. How about going to the movies on Saturday? How about going to the movies on Saturday? So not just I would like to invite you කියන මට වැඩිය යාළුවෙක්ගෙන් ප්‍රශ්නයක් අහන්න කොහොමද? How about going to the movies? How about going on a trip to Alla this weekend? Um, how about going for a dinner out this evening? Right? So not just with friends, you can say this to anyone, even to your family, you can ask any question. How about? Okay, how about doing something? Okay, are you up for trying out that new restaurant? Are you up for trying out that new restaurant? Is another friendly way of informal way of asking your friend a question, right? It's also kind of inviting. Okay, you are inviting because you like to try that restaurant because it's a newly built one. So you want to try the menu there and kind of inviting. You are asking your friend, are you up for trying out? Are you up for trying out that new restaurant? Right? So like that, you can ask your friend. And imagine when someone is inviting you and if you are going to accept the invitation, there are some other ways. And if you are going to decline them, if you want to say no, how can you say? There are different ways. Okay. So if you really want to accept them or කැමති නම් ආයක accept කරනවා නම් what can you say? That sounds great. I would love to join you. That sounds great. I would love to join you. Or else you can say, I'm sorry, but I already have plans for that day. I'm sorry, but I already have plans for that day. Right? Actually, you don't need but as well there. Right? Thanks for the invitation, but I can't make it. Invitation එකට thank you. හැබැයි මට ඒක කරන්න විදිහක් නැහැ. මට join වෙන්න විදිහක් නැහැ. But I can't make it. Right? So this is a nice way of declining your invitation. ඔයාට invite ඔයාට කරපු ආරාධනාවක් ලස්සන විදිහට decline කෙනෙක්ගේ හිත රිදෙන්නේ නැති වෙන්න, right? Without hurting anyone, how you can decline the invitation that you got. You can say thanks for the invitation, but I can't make it. You can say sorry as well, right? So that was about inviting and accepting and declining invitations. Another situation is suggesting ideas. Why don't we, like when you're suggesting someone or yojana karana, when doing suggestions, right, you can ask these ways in these forms. Why don't we go for a hike this weekend? Right? How about organizing a game night at my place? We could visit art exhibition downtown. Now, to understand how we can ask questions when you want to suggest something to someone, right? And then discussing events. How can you discuss events? Have you heard about the music festival happening next month? There's a local food fair coming up. Are you interested? There's a local food fair coming up. Are you interested? මෙහෙම දෙයක් තියෙනවා ඔයා කැමතිද? ඔය දන්නවද මෙහෙම දෙයක් වෙන්න තියෙනවා කියලා? So likewise you are discussing about events, right? So that was generally about making plans and different expressions or sentences or phrases what you can use in talking about making plans with friends. Okay. And then moving on to expressing opinions, right? Expressing opinions, in my opinion, now expressing opinion is really important, right? Because opinions are different to person. Opinion කියන එක ළමයි පුද්ගලයාගෙන් පුද්ගලයාට වෙනස් වෙන දෙයක්. Right? So the opinion that I hold might be different to your opinion. Okay, in that case, when you're expressing your opinion, you have to be really careful. So for that, you can use all these expressions. Okay, so expressing opinions. First one, it says, in my opinion, traveling broadens our horizon. Right? In my opinion, mama hitana vidihata. Or you can say, I believe that education is the key to a successful future. Right? I believe that. You can say, in my opinion, or you can say, I believe that, or you can say, from my perspective, technology has revolutionized our lives. Okay? Or you can say, when you are agreeing to someone's opinion or disagreeing, now the first part was about how you express your opinion. Now this is about how you disagree or agree to someone else's opinion. So you can say, I completely agree with you. It makes perfect sense. I see your point, but I respectfully disagree. I'm not sure I agree with that statement. So you understand what I mean? So these are different forms of expressing opinions, agreeing and disagreeing. Okay? Okay, so let's talk about expressing gratitude. What are the expressions or the sentences that you can use to express gratitude? So gratitude means saying thank you to someone. So these are different context situations, right? And we will see how to say thank you in a proper way, right? So saying thank you can say thank you so much for your help, or you can say I really appreciate your kindness, right? I can't thank you enough for your support, right? So different, like there are different ways and some other ways also there you can find out yourself. Okay, and then expressing appreciation. I wanted to let you know how much I value your hard work. So this is kind of appreciating someone's work or something someone has done. Okay, your advice has been invaluable to me. Thank you. I am grateful for the opportunity to work with such a talented team. So you see, there are different ways of expressing appreciation as well, at the same time saying thank you. Okay, so these were some examples, and then moving on to the next one, wrapping up the conversation. So how you can wrap up your conversation? Wrap up means how you can end your conversation. You can end the conversation saying it was great talking to you. Have a wonderful day, right? Or you can say, I'll see you soon. Take care. And then let's catch up again soon. Goodbye. So these are some sort of endings to a conversation, right? And then expressing goodbye, how can you say? Bye for now. See you later. Take it easy. Goodbye. Until next time. So most of them, these expressing goodbyes are for informal context, and then ending conversations also, for the first one, for example, it was great talking to you. Have a wonderful time. It should be time here. Is more formal than the other two. Okay. So, right. So that was about wrapping up conversations. And yes, there's a small video on how to form WH questions. And we'll watch this first and then we'll move on to the grammar point. Okay, I want you all to watch this video.
Hi, this is Seema, and I'm back with a new lesson on WH questions. Well, what are WH questions? Questions which are asked to get a specific response or to derive certain information are WH questions. In other words, if you want to get some information about someone or something, you always have to ask a WH question. So what kinds of WH questions are there? The first one is the question when. The question when always is asked when you want to know the time of a particular event. So whenever you want to know the time a particular thing occurs, that's when you ask the question when. For example, you could say, when is the meeting? If you are a school student, you could say, when is the next class? When is the next test? So it always talks about time. So when you want to get information about the time of a particular event, that's when you always use the word when. Our next WH question talks about place. And whenever you want to know the place, you always use the WH question called where. So I could say, where is the main shop? Or where is the restaurant? Or where is Starbucks? So when you want to know the place, you will always use the word where. And then you have a question called who. This is always to know about a person or people. So you use the question who when you are talking about a singular person or people, which would be the plural form of a person. So I could say, who are they? So I'm talking about people, the plural. I could say, who is the boy wearing green? Who is he? That's when I talk about a singular person. And that's where you use the word who to know about a person or to know about people. Our next question is the question why. When do I use why? A lot of times we need to get a reason as to why something happened, and that is when you use the question why. So I could say, why is she always late? Or why did you not come earlier? Or why did you cook fish for dinner today? So you always want a reason, and that's when you use the word or the question why. Our next WH question is what. Now the question what always denotes or gives you information about an object, an idea, or an action. So let's deal with each of these parts at a time. So if I'm talking about an object, I could say, what is she doing? Or what is she eating? We're talking about a specific thing that a person is doing. So it could be an object or an action. Or I could say, what is the plan? I talk about an idea. So I could say, what is she doing? When I talk about an action. Or I could say, what is the plan for today? When I talk about an idea. So what talks about an object, an idea, or an action? And then we have the question which, a very important WH question because it talks about things in particular. So I could say, which subjects do you take this year? So when I want to get information about things, or which colors would you prefer? So we talk about things, or we get information about things when we ask the question starting with a which. Well, now that we've looked at several WH questions, let's look at another question called how, which is also used to derive information or to seek specific information. It is used in many ways. The first method or the first way that you would use the word HOW or the word how is to know the manner or the method of doing something. So if I were to ask you, how do you go to work, or how do you commute to work? I'm talking about a manner or method that you use to go to work. So you could tell me, I drive to work, or I take the train, or I take the bus, or I take a cab. So how, in a way, denotes the manner or the method of doing something. Our next question, the same question, using the word how, could talk about the price, which is non-countable. So I always would use how followed by a much when I'm talking about the price or the amount of something. So I could say, how much did you pay for the dress? So I'm talking about the price or the amount, or how much did you pay for the shoes? All right. On the other hand, I will use a how followed by the word many when I'm talking about a specific quantity. So here I don't talk about the price, I talk about the quantity. So I could say, how many shoes did you buy? or I could say, how many books did you read? So I'm talking about a quantity which is very specific and therefore it is countable. Now, you can also use the word how followed by the word long when you are talking about the duration. Or in other words, you are talking about the time period during which something happens. So I could say, how long did it take you to travel from Dubai? So your answer could be, it took me 2 hours or 4 hours. So we're talking about the time period or the duration. Or you could say, how long did it take you to finish this lesson? It could be 2 hours, 3 hours, or maybe 5 hours. And our next expression using the word how, the next question using the word how, when it is followed by the word far, we are always talking about the distance. I mean the physical distance. So I can say, how far is the local bakery from your house? Or how far do you live from the airport? So we're talking about the physical distance between two specific areas. Well, that's it from me on this lesson on WH questions. Well, it's time to see how much you've learned. So please click onto the link in the description at the end of this video.
Okay, so I think you understood a basic idea about what WH questions are. Okay, so here we are going to move on to our lesson, which is on WH questions, and as we already discussed there in that video also. Yeah, here you can see who, whom, right? Who, whom is used. By using who and whom, we ask to obtain information about a person or people, right? Who is at the door? Jane is at the door. Who? It's Jane, right? So what, by what we are trying to get information about somebody or something. It's mostly about something. Okay, what is this? This is a book, right? What did she say? She said to be quiet. අය මොකක්ද කිව්වේ? ඇය කිව්වා සද්ද නතර කරගන්න කියලා. නිහඬ වෙන්න කියලා, නිශ්ශබ්ද වෙන්න කියලා. Okay. When means what? When means මොන වෙලාවටද? So when you ask a question using the question word when, it's to obtain information about the time period in which an action occurs, right? About the time period. Okay. And then when does he arrive? For example, when does he arrive? It should be she. Okay. When does she arrive? She arrives at 10:30. So here in the answer, you are giving the time. So that's what we are expecting using when. Okay. And using where means we are going to ask for a location of a person or a thing. Right? Where does Natasha live? She lives in Ragama. You see, where does Natasha live? She lives in Ragama. Likewise. And then why is a question we are asking for a reason, right? Why something has happened. Here it's about reason. The lady in the video explained this very clearly, so I'm not going to waste much time on this. Okay. And here you have to note down an informal American English expression is how come. අපි how come කියලා ඔයගොල්ලෝ maybe films වල එහෙම අහලා ඇති. How come කියලා අපි අහන්නේ ඇයි කියන එක. කොහොමද එහෙම උනේ කියන එක. ඇයි එහෙම උනේ කියන එක තමයි how come කියන එකත් අහන්නේ. And that's an informal American expression. Okay, American English expression. And then the question word how is to obtain, we ask the question word how to obtain information about the way something happened. The way means කොහොමද දෙයක් වුනේ කියන එක. The manner of something or the way somebody behave. Right? So, for example, how will he win the race? කොහොමද race එක win කරන්නේ? කොහොමද? How? By training every day. කොහොමද? By training every day. This is the answer. So you see, these are the functions of WH questions, and we'll move on. Right. And let's look at forming yes no questions. So WH questions and yes no questions are two different things. Now, to get an information about like a descriptive answer, we have to ask, for example, open-ended answers ගොඩක් ඒ කියන්නේ different answers ගන්න නම් අපි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අහන්නේ WH question. හැබැයි අපි yes no type question එකක් ඇහුවොතින් අපිට ලැබෙන answers හරිම limited, right? That's closed ended. අපි කියනවා closed ended කියලා ඒවට. අපි ඇහුවොතින් ඔයාපත් කෑවද? ඔව් හරි නෑ හරි. Right? So it's yes no question. So do you understand this? Yes or no? Right? Are you sleepy? Yes or no? So you see these are closed ended. Why? Because you don't have a range of answers there. අපිට දෙන්න answers එහෙම ගොඩක් නැහැ ළමයි. Two options only, yes or no. Right? So in that case, you have to know how to form yes no questions as well. Here you can see there are different ways by using the be verb. So by using the be verb, you can ask the questions about the identity or description of a person, place, or a thing. How about something? Okay, is this a good restaurant? My restaurant එක හොඳ එකක්ද? ඔව් හරි නෑ හරි yes or no. Right? So you see using the be verb. Is this? Okay, and then right here you can see is using be verb. And then with a preposition, questions about present or past location. Am I at the correct location? Right? Mama me in Harithanada. Right? Yes or no? And then of course about a current activity or situation. Right? About a current activity or situation also you can ask using be verb. Yes, no question. Right? So you can see here be plus verb plus ing. Is she working today? Is she working today? Yes or no? Are you listening to my lecture? Yes or no? Right? Do you see? So, are you sleepy? Yes or no? Right? Maybe yes. For those who find the lesson interesting, for them you can say yes. Right? Okay. Right. And another form is by adding have or has. Right? To ask somebody has done something or if some action has been taken place. So කවුරු හරි දෙයක් කරලා තියෙනවා නම් හරි මොකක් හරි action එකක් සිදු වෙලා තියෙනවද කියලා අහන්න අපිට have has දෙක use කරගෙන yes no questions හදන්න පුළුවන් build up කරන්න පුළුවන්. Okay? Right. So has your brother left? Okay, සහෝදරයා ගියාද? Has your brother left? Yes or no? Right? Have you understood the lesson? What lesson එක තේරුණාද? Yes. Right? Okay. And another form is using the auxiliaries. Now all these are auxiliaries, right? Be, have, has, and then do, does, did. To obtain facts about people, places, or things. So to obtain the same information about people, places, things, right? You can ask questions in different form. For example, does she play the piano? A piano එක play කරනවද? If yes, you can say yes. If not, you can say no. Right? Do you understand what I explain? Do you understand what I explain? ඒ කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? ඔයාලට තේරෙනවද මම පැහැදිලි කරන දේ? If yes, you can say yes or no. Right? Same thing with did. Did is for past tense. You can ask, did you understand? ඔයාලට තේරුණාද? Right? Did you understand the lesson today? Yes, you can say yes, I understood. If not, you can say no, I didn't. Right? And then modal verbs. Using modal verbs, how you can form yes, no questions. Now here, what are the modal verbs that you know? Tell me some examples. I'll just write them down. Tell me examples for modal verbs. Okay, I'll write them here. Should. What else? Could. Would. May. Right. What else? Might. Can. Shall. Yeah, these are some examples, right? Should, could, would, may, might, shall, and then must is another one. Okay, these are the modal verbs. So about possibilities or uncertainties, right? How can you ask? Could this be true? එක වෙන්න පුළුවන්ද? Right? ඒක ඇත්ත වෙන්න පුළුවන්ද? Could this be true? You can ask in that form. If yes, a person might say yes. If not, they might say no. Right? So these are the ways how you can form yes no question. Okay? So in making in making yes no questions, you can see the auxiliary is put here at the first place. Is, am, is, has, does, could. You can see all of them at the first place. Right? Here, is at the first place. Am I? Is she? Has your brother? Does, could this be true? So it's about the auxiliary, add subject, and then what? And the rest of the sentence, okay? Rest of the sentence can be the object or the verb and everything. Okay? Okay, I would say like this. Auxiliary verb, subject, plus verb, plus the rest of the sentence. For example, if you take this, has your brother is the subject, left is the verb. Okay, this is the auxiliary here. Auxiliary, your brother is the subject, and left is the verb here. Okay, does she play the piano? The same. Does is the auxiliary, she is the subject, play is the verb, the piano is the object. Right? Do you see? Auxiliary, subject, verb, plus object. So this is how you form yes no question. Okay, the same way WH questions හදන්න ළමයි. එතකොට මේ විදිහටමයි you add WH question to the front. Okay, WH question, auxiliary plus subject plus verb plus object. For example, now if you take the same example, does she play the piano? අය piano එක play කරනවද? Yes or no, right? If I add a WH question to this, I can ask අය කොහෙද piano එක play කරන්නේ? එතකොට මම මොකද කරන්නේ? Where කියන එක add කරනවා. Where does she play the piano? Right? ඕ මට හොන්නන් අහන්න පුළුවන්. ඇයි එයා piano එක play කරන්නේ? Why does she play the piano? එහෙම නැත්නම් මට පුළුවන් අහන්න how does she play the piano? අය කොහොමද piano එක play කරන්නේ? So you see different ways how you can ask question. අපිට අහන්න බෑ. We can also ask when does she play the piano? අය මොන වෙලාවටද piano එක play කරන්නේ? So you see how to form the WH question and the yes no question. So better if you take a note of this, okay? This is the form. WH question, auxiliary, subject, verb, plus object. If it's yes no question, you just omit this. You start with auxiliary, subject, verb, plus object. Okay, that is about yes no and WH question. So hope you understood. Let's move on. Now, these are some activities to practice. Now here movies, you can see there are different categories. If we were here in a classroom, we could have done this. So just think for yourselves. Okay. If we take the first one or the last one, okay, friend. Who is your best friend? Who? What am I asking about? Who? Kauda, right? How often do you see him or her? How often? How often means the frequency. කොතරම් කියන්නේ කොපමණ කොච්චරක් කියන එක අපි අහන්නේ. How often? ඔයා කොච්චරක් යාව කියන්නේ meet වෙනවද දකින්නවද? කී පාරක් කියන එක, right? And then where does she or he live? අය කොහෙද ජීවත් වෙන්නේ? And then how does or she help you? කොහොමද අය ඔහු ඔබට උදව් කරන්නේ කියන එක. So you have to practice all these WH questions before coming into conversation. Okay. So this is a small task where you can practice, but since we don't have time and we don't have access to each other, we'll just move on. So I hope since you have time, do this as take-home activity, okay? Okay. Now here, this is a small activity. Let's do this together. Shall I give you around 1 minute's time? First do this for yourselves and then we'll discuss. Okay, I'm going to give you 2 minutes time. Please fill these in and then we will discuss the answer. Okay. Make sure you write the answers as well. Okay, students, let's discuss the answers. What can be the first one? For example, okay, it says, do you get to work? Right? So what can you ask here? Can you ask who do you get to work? No. You can ask when do you get to work? Right? Or you can ask how do you get to work? You can say if I ask you how do you get to work? By bus. Right? Something like that. And then children do you have? You can ask how many children do you have? I have 3 children, 2 children. You have no children, you can say I have no children, right? And then, do you eat dinner? like when do you eat dinner or where do you eat dinner? If I ask where do you eat dinner, I eat dinner at the restaurant, right? Or I eat dinner at the dining hall. Or you can say okay, when do you eat dinner? I eat dinner at 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock, something like that. And then, do you live with? What can you say? Who do you live with? I live with my parents. Or you can say I live with my husband. Okay, who do you live with? කා සමගද ජීවත් වෙන්නේ කියන එක with. So, do you like to go on holiday? What do you think? Where do you like to go on holiday? නිවාඩුවට කොහෙද යන්න කැමති? I like to go on holiday. Where? You can say to Nuwara, to Ella, to Anuradhapura, maybe somewhere else, to Maldives, so whatever it is, wherever it is, you can say. Okay, and then number 6, sugar do you like in your tea? Sugar do you like in your tea? Can you ask how many sugar or how much sugar? We say how much sugar you like in your tea. Why? What's the difference between how many and how much? How many is kiyakta. So how many you can count? It's countable, right? How much means it's uncountable. So sugar, can you count 1 sugar, 2 sugar? Likewise, can you count? No, right? So therefore, here we write how much sugar do you like in your tea? So students, I'm not going to write the answers here. I'm just discussing. Okay. Next one. Is your favorite season spring or summer? Now here you can see, you can ask also what is your favorite season, but here since you are given 2 choices, right, 2 options, then you are asking which මොන season එකටද කැමති, spring එකටද summer එකටද. එතකොට මොකක්ද කියන එකනේ මේ අපි ගහන්නේ. Right, options දෙකක් තියෙනවා නම්, so you ask which මොන season එකටද කැමති, which is your favorite season, spring or summer. So I would say it's spring, right? And then, is your favorite day of the week? I would say, what is your favorite day of the week? So it's Friday, right? And then, do you live in Santiago? We can ask, why do you live in Santiago? Right? Where do you live in Santiago? Santiago වල කොහෙද ඉන්නේ නැත්නම් අයියා Santiago වල ජීවත් වෙන්නේ කියන එක. So you can see the WH questions gives us different direction, right? So based on your requirement, based on the thing what you need to ask, you can choose the WH question. Okay. And here are some other activities. You can see, write a question for each of the following answers using a question word. Now here the answers are given, so you have to make them into questions. I use the subway to get to work. I use the subway to get to work. ප්‍රශ්නේ කොහොමද අපිට අහන්න පුළුවන්? How can you ask the question? මේක තියෙන්නේ යා use කරනවලු subway එක get job එකට යන්න to get to work. ඒ කියන්නේ යා යන විදිහ තමයි කියන්නේ. So when we are asking for a manner or the way how a person is doing something, what is the question word? It's how, right? How do you get to work? Right? Or you can ask, what do you use? No, actually that's not nice. So it's better you ask, how do you get to work? So then the answer would be, I use the subway to get to work. It is in South America. It is in South America. What can you ask as a question? Maybe where, using something where you can ask, right? Okay, so these are some questions, and here also the questions are given and you're supposed to write the answers here. So I think you will practice them by your own, right? Please do all these things. And yeah, that was all about today's lesson about conversations and WH questions and yes, no questions, right? And if you find anything difficult, it's better if you can ask, but yeah, hope everything was clear. And I'm going to wind up the session for today, and we'll meet us again with the second part of conversation. Right? Thank you very much, students.